Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today is my third project using the 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar set. And I'm going to make this shaker card, which is sort of like a cheat card really, because it's not one where you have to use a lot of foam dimensionals behind and make sure that the little pieces don't fall out. It's a quick and simple way to make a shaker card. And I've made this card for birthdays, Christmas, lots of events. It's really versatile. So what I'm using today is the stamps. I'm going to use this flower and this little centre. Now you can see it doesn't fill up all of the centre, but when I tried, I felt like this one was just a little bit too big for what I wanted today. So I'm using this smaller one. And I used the thanks celebration sentiment, which is this one. But for this card that I'm going to make, I'm going to use the birthday one. And what you also need is your base card and 2 pieces of white card. Base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. 2 pieces of white card, 4 by 5 1/4. Some designer series paper. I chose a paler background, but you could use some of the more floral paper if you wanted to. So for the paper, which I cut all from the same 6 by 6 piece, you need 4 3/8 by 3 3/4, and then a little strip that actually I cut, I think it was sort of from the bottom of a piece that was left, 1/2 inch by 4 inches. You need a scrap for stamping your flowers on. And then you need this little bag of sequins. I've used the dies, I used this die to cut out the flowers, and I've made some little leaves with this die here, which is a standalone die. You don't need to stamp first. So here are the little leaves that I've cut. So die cut leaves, sequins, and then a clear envelope. And these are our clear medium envelopes. You can use them for sending cards through the mail. Here in Canada, if we use them, they tend to put them through as hand franked. So it might take a day or two longer than it going just in the box, but they're quite happy for you to use them here. Okay, so you just need one of those. Now let me move all these little pieces and we'll start. Okay, I'll pop these to one side. I don't need these yet, these little leaves, but I am going to need the scrap for stamping and our base, and just one of these pieces to start with. Okay, so the colours I'm using are colours from that match with the paper. So I've got Misty Moonlight and Crushed Curry. And I'm actually going to do my stamping first. So all I did was I needed 4 of the flowers. So I've got my Night of Navy, I've got the flower, which as I said is this one. And I just stamped it 4 times. Now you might like it fully stamped like I did, or you might like stamped off as well, where it makes that more like a misty moonlight colour. But all together you need 4 stamps or 4 images. Okay, and then I will need that again in a moment actually for my sentiment. Then with the Crushed Curry, I just stamped the very middle. If you choose one of the different designer series papers, you might want to choose a different ink colour as well. And then my sentiment is going to go on one of the basic white pieces, and it's going to go right at the bottom. So let's ink that up while we've got Misty Moonlight out. Just says birthday wishes, and I did mine right in the centre, But if you wanted, you could put the sentiment over to the left and move these flowers down a tiny bit. It doesn't have to be in the centre. I just like the look of it that way. Okay. Okay. We'll pop that to one side as well. I'll clean those in a little while. These I then put through the cut and emboss machine with this die on top, and I have already cut those out. So let's find 4 that I've already cut. One. I've got a couple of the lighter as well, the second generation stamping. Okay, so you can choose whatever you want to have. And then we can start to build the card. I'm going to fold and burnish our base, and I'm going to get the other piece of white, which is going inside. And we need to go back to the designer series paper. So I want that little strip, and I'm going to put it across the bottom because it's going to go inside the card like this. Let's find some glue. Don't need too much. Just going to turn that over. I like to leave a little gap at the bottom just so that you can see the white still. Let's make sure it's straight. Oops. There we go. And then I'm going to pop one of the little floral elements here. And because I've got quite a lot of those little leaves cut out, I'm going to pop one inside as well. They make quite a nice little die cut, with a little gap in each of the leaves. And I think that'll be easier to pop on with a glue dot. So I'm just going to lay it on the glue dot, pick that up, and just attach it underneath this before it dries and sticks all the way down. There we go. And then that can go inside. I'm finding that I don't need much of the glue right now. I used to put lots in, and sometimes I had it so that it sort of squashed out underneath the designer series paper and things, and I think I was simply using too much. So I'm trying to use less at the moment and see how that works. Okay, this one we're going to attach to the front. And you'll find that that's sort of just about the right height and the right size of sentiment, that you can still get your shaker card piece on and it doesn't interfere with the writing or anything. Okay, I'm going to pop that on one side, and we're going to work on our inside piece. Now this is the inside piece for the shaker card. I used not all of the designs in here. Let me just find a little piece of card to pop these on. A couple of them, the first time I tried it, I found they were a little bit too thick. Let's just pop these here. And let me find the ones. They're like a little bow. Here it is. Oops. So this one, oops. If I put it there, you see how it's just a little sort of a pretty little bow, but it's quite deep, and I found that it was just a little bit too deep to allow these other pieces to shake. So I took all of those out. I'm just going to take a few away now so that I don't get any inside my card. If you've got a different sort of set of sequins where you don't have these thicker pieces in, then you know you can just put a spoonful in. You don't have to sort through them. But there are quite a lot of those bows. Okay. And so that it looks like you always have pieces in the shaker card and not all the pieces fall down to the bottom, I tend to glue quite a few on the designer series paper. I'm just going to pick up my pen that I just dropped. There we go. And all I do is over the designer series paper, I put a few little blobs of glue, and then with my tweezers I just pick up a few of the bits, spread them out a little bit so that you can see them when the card is standing up, you know, if you have it standing up on the side or something, because otherwise all those little pieces will fall to the bottom. Now these little butterflies are quite nice because they're not totally flat, and so they catch some of the sequins, and they keep them sort of on the front and a little bit more prominent. Doesn't matter which ones you pop on here, because once you've got them on the card, you can see them a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to pop a few at the bottom. This is probably the most time-consuming part of it. There are some other thicker pieces, like little hearts. So this little heart here, that one's okay. It's not too thick, and it does look quite pretty. Oops, I don't want to put it upside down. Oh, now they're sticking to my fingers. So, they are a little bit staticky. See, it doesn't even want to come off the tweezers now. There we go. And you need just a minute or two for these to dry. I didn't, stick a certain amount. I just put a few random blobs of glue on, and then found little sequins that I could pick up easily and stick them on. I love these little gold flowers and the little butterflies. I think they're a nice addition. If you want to have them flattened, you can easily pop those butterflies down on a surface and squash them like with the end of the blade of your scissors or something. Oops, oh, that was a bit of a lot. I don't want quite that much. Let's find a little. Let's take some of that off. There we go. And I'm going to pop another little butterfly there. There we go. Now, they haven't all quite dried yet, but it doesn't matter because it might catch some of the other sequins. Okay. Now, what we need to have is our clear bag, and just check where the adhesive is, because we're going to fold this bag over and you need the adhesive strip to be able to stick to the back of the envelope. So just be aware that, you need the adhesive underneath as you're adding this little piece in. And this piece will fit perfectly across the bottom. And just slide it in. It's nice and tight. It has got a tiny little gap around it, but it stays nice and flat in there. And you can see that we're going to fold this back and use the adhesive to glue it down. But we're going to add some of these in as well. And like I said earlier, if you have a pot and it doesn't have wider pieces in, or a little bag, you can simply take a spoonful out and pop them in. But because mine had those wider pieces in that I didn't want, I've already got them on here. And you just need them to go on the front of your card. You don't want any at the back. So I'm just going to lay this in and then use it like a little, use it like a little chute to let all those pieces go down. There we go. I dropped a few. And I do have a craft room carpet with many of these on. So there we go. That's it. Okay. And then, I've got one stuck there, look. Let's move that one. And then I'm just going to turn the whole thing over. Take the adhesive off this strip here. We don't need that piece. And I'm going to fold it over so that it's quite taut against the end of the designer series paper. Sort of as tight as I can. Squash it down, and I'm going to put a little bit of Scotch tape over that as well, just so that it doesn't think it wants to come undone. There we go. Okay, and so there's your little shaker packet. And I'm just going to shake mine around a little bit so that some pieces stick on those butterflies and on those extra little bits of glue in there. There we go. And then I'm going to attach it to the front here. And I like to put it on with tear and tape. In the past, sometimes I've used like a foam dimensional strip. But I find that the closer I can get it to stick down to the card, the better it seems to be. I'm going to pop this all down the edges like that. And then I'm going to take this backing off. And I'm going to put some little strips going the other way as well, just on the edges. Because I like to make sure that all of the corners have adhesive on. And this way I can see it easily. Let's turn that round. Oops. There we go. Let's take those backings off as well. Okay, and then if you have a paper that has an orientation, just remember that it's going to go portrait way on your card. So make sure that, you know, your paper is running this way as well. Right, and then I'm just going to pop it on here and make sure I've got the same border on the left and the right and the top, and that it's not too far away from the sentiment. Smush it down, and I'm just going to open it and run my fingers over the back as well, just to make sure that all that tear and tape sticks. Okay, now I've just got lots of pieces here. I'm just moving them off my desk a little bit, moving them off the paper. Let's close those up. And then to decorate it, we're going to take our stamped images that we made, and you can decide how many you want to have on the front. I liked having 3 on here so that it sort of hid the corners a little bit as well. And I'm going to get some more of the little green die cuts that I made. Okay, I'll pop that there so you can see. But I found it was easier just to sort of offer them up, see where the sentiment was, see which ones would fit there. So you could have it going this way as well. You could use some of the lighter ones. Let's pop one over here because I know I want to have one at the top, and I'm going to put them the same orientation as this, but you could certainly put sort of the lighter ones there as well, just to make a different colour, especially if you've got one of the floral pieces behind and it would pick up this colour too. I'm just going to make it exactly the same as I made here. But because my sentiment's different, I can play with it just a little bit more and have it come in over down towards the sentiment there. Okay. And then to attach it, I'm attaching it with tear and tape. You could use glue dots. You could even use foam dimensionals if you wanted it to stand up a little bit higher. It would still go through the mail slot as it is right now, but I think if you put dimensionals on, then it might not. Okay, I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to put another little glue dot on this, just like we did for the inside. And then I'm going to pop that under there, I think. I didn't put one on here. Actually, I'll just wait a moment and see if I want one. So let's pop the adhesive on there. I think I might put another leaf on, but I'll just see how busy it looks. I'm really enjoying crafting with this kit and thinking of sort of different ways to use it. But if you don't have this kit, you can make this with different stamp sets that you have, different designer series paper. You can use the techniques still. I'll pop this on here. I'm just going to make it come over the edge of the shaker part itself. There, like that. And then let's try these glue dots on here. We've already got one on this one. I'm just going to lift this up, pop it underneath. I quite like having one under here, and I'm going to have it so that it's onto the white sentiment area as well. So I'll pop another glue dot on this one. If you don't like using glue dots, you can use the tear and tape as well, but I find that the liquid glue doesn't dry very well on top of the cellophane bags here, or the cellophane envelopes. So I don't recommend using the liquid glue. Oops. And this third one, I don't know, I might put it in here, or I do actually quite like it at the top. I wonder if I could get it in under here and make it just a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to pop it in at the top. So on a glue dot, and just sticking out a tiny bit. I want to make sure that the flower is covering over the glue dot, so it's not hot. Not hot. Not sticking out or sticky. I don't know. It's not going to be hot whatever I do. Okay. So there we are. That's a quick and easy shaker card. And I think when you've got those standing up, let me just show you. If I have it standing up, you see how lots of the pieces stay at the top because we glued those sequins up there, and because we've got things like these butterflies that catch little tiny sequins as well. It looks like you can see all of the shaker parts all of the time. So I hope you enjoyed project 3, and join me again next time to see what we're going to make again. See you all really soon, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.